Yo, what's up everybody? How's it going? Today we're playing Dota 2 but Shop Upon the Hill. Dota the V-map is a dangerous battleground. The shopkeeper decided to close all his branches and move up the hill after his bottom side shop got accidentally macropiled during last TI. F. It seems there's only one shop. It's kind of like the opposite of what we normally do, where we have like a, we have a global shop. This time we have very much the opposite. And this is gonna be interesting. Alright, I need this and I need this. And I gotta get out. Alright, I got some items, I'm happy. This should be enough for the early game help. Oh god, I'm slowed so much. Alright, I think we made it though. We managed to get some items, that's what's important. But they just had a lot more heroes there than us. Oh my god, and they just keep coming. You know what? I'm just gonna go back to base. If I can. Can I save you? I can't do anything there. Whether or not you survive is not up to me. Not at this stage. I'm sorry, my friend. Okay, well, I'm gonna just walk back and I'm gonna TP down there, like, honestly. Although TPs are really precious now. There's also another shop up here, which this guy is just kind of chilling up in the air. Damn, boy. That's maybe like relaxing a little too hard. Alright, well, we'll see how this goes. I got Wraith King because, yeah, I kind of thought that we would have some brawls around that shop in the early game. And I don't know, it seems like Wraith King would be decent at that. You know, Wraith King fights well in the early game. Just kind of is pretty good at that. Alright. So, they have items too, damn it. How's my team looking on items? You guys just don't have any. You're just taking the, yeah, no items for me approach. Alright, you know what? I guess if that works for you, I mean, who am I to tell you no? Oh, God. Alright, well, that's kind of interesting. Well, let's see how it goes. Hello. Let's grab this. Thank you very much. And nice. And cool. Anyway, yeah, we'll just kind of like see how this goes right now. I actually cannot win against the Monkey King though. Can I get some backup? I'm currently solo laning against the Monkey King and Winter Wyvern, and it's just impossible. This is actually just an impossible lane to win. This is not, you can't do it. Monkey King is so good against melees, especially the ones that don't really have any pressure, like Wraith King. Like, Wraith King is good in the early game, but Wraith King isn't good on his own in the early game. That's not what makes him strong. Right? Like, it's having, like, he's more of a supporting hero in a certain way. Yeah, right? Like, the way he is strong is if he has allies. But on his own, he isn't really all that strong at all. Alright, that should be a kill, though. Alright. We gotta be careful because that clap is coming out. And we got him. Cool! Can we get to the shop? Wait, how do we even get there? I think we need to take this way around. So the advantage we have is that our location is fairly close. You need to go all the way like that? That's probably the faster way to go. Alright, well, I wanna go to the shop. I wanna pick some stuff up. That's what I want to do. Alright. I would like boots and a magic wand mostly. And maybe some more healing if we have enough money for that. And a TP. Oh yeah, we just kind of like need the usual early game stuff, you know. What's more important, healing or TP? I'm gonna go with the tango. I'm gonna go ahead and just say that the tango is more important. Yeah, this is... Man, this is just very far away. This is gonna be tricky. Courier? Well, we can probably like position a courier somewhere around here. But you can't even rely on the courier that much. Because like the courier, what if it gets killed? Then you're screwed. Buy a blink. Yeah, as soon as I can. It's just blink is kind of expensive, you know. Alright, I would like to wait a little. Because I need some skeletons again. These skeleton boys are actually so important. And so incredibly valuable in terms of damage output. Yeah. And that's a kill. Nice. Oh, absolutely. People always underestimate them. Even two of them. But they just hurt. They just hit really hard. Like they just do a lot of damage. If you have the luxury of maxing it out, you know, then it becomes even scarier. Because them Skeleborgs are nasty. Downside, of course, is that it then uses up a lot more mana than you really want to. Because, like, yeah, Wraith King just does not have that much in terms of mana overall. But that's alright. Not too big of a deal. Let's grab also this. Thank you very much. Lion is such a good support. Yeah. But, I mean, like, that's just kind of what happens if you give a hero 2 stuns and then infinite mana, right? Just, do you guys want to support? Sure. What kind of support? Oh, well, just, like, give them 2 stuns, infinite mana, and an ability that can, in theory, do infinite damage as well. Just hits for 600 damage at level 1. Yeah. Like, don't worry about it. It's fine. Lion is a little bit crazy. Alright. Good news is we are now able to actually just pretty consistently make some money here. Alright, which is exactly what we want. Exactly how we want to do things. Alright, get that Wraithfire Blast. Other than that, this seems to be just kind of mostly normal though. It's made by the same guy that made the like 2-way mod where like everything was so tight. I am glad that we have somebody that's actually just making map modifications. Maybe we can make them a little bit prettier than this. That would be like my one wish here. You know, I feel like we can maybe work on that. But other than that, I'm just happy to like have somebody try this different stuff. Wait, can we get through here? Oh no, there's a cliff there. Yeah, Dota is a little bit tricky with this sometimes. Alright. If they want to fight here, I'm perfectly happy to do that. Got him. No, you don't need to stun him right now. I already stunned him. Alright, cool. It's kind of funny. I think us being this high up actually helped me figure out where he went. I think it actually helped. Because, like, I could very easily tell which tree he went on. I'm not sure if that actually ended up, you know, like, helping. I'm not sure, but, like, it kind of seemed like it. I don't know. So Blizzard canceled live event for the release of Overwatch on Switch. I wonder why. Well, yeah, I mean, it's obvious why. You know, I've been kind of like reading up on the Blizzard situation. And honestly, like, I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe I should make like a video about it, but at the same time, I feel like I kind of like missed that window of opportunity. I don't know, it's just like, the thing is whenever I see something like that happen, you know, I don't want to just give like an uninformed opinion. I think that's the worst thing you can do. Alright, especially in like the current age of general politics and all of that stuff, you know, like you wanna make sure that when you give your opinion is actually like based on facts and like the research you've done, all of that stuff. And you know, like I've been looking at it, and honestly, it's just like it's a little fucky. I think there's like yeah, what's the Blizzard drama? Alright, do you want a recap of the Blizzard drama for the people that aren't too familiar with it? Okay, so here's the recap of the Blizzard drama. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna try to give you the most neutral recap of the facts. And then after I have laid out what I consider to be the facts, I'm gonna give you my opinion on the individual parts. Alright? Like, that's the important thing, though. I wanna just kind of like make clear that our first step here is gonna be just figuring out exactly what happened. Although this right here is maybe kind of demanding some of our attention. I don't think I can win this fight. Yeah. I still have my Skeleborgs, but the gyro is a problem. I need to kill the gyro. There's the stun. I am still alive, which is baffling. Did I get him? No. Alright, wrong tree. I'm very surprised I managed to survive that. Okay. Yeah, Monkey King is awesome at getting up to the shop. That's actually really convenient for him, isn't it? So, here's what happened, alright? So, the first thing you need to know, this was during, like this is basically a series of events that is based on one individual event. And to understand that individual event's significance, you need to understand general world politics first. Oh god, I'm just trying to think, where do I start? Do we start with like... at which point do we start? Do we start with like one country? Like wait, two systems, one country? Or does it get that way? Right, I'm not sure what the exact phrasing there is. Like, at which point do we start explaining Hong Kong's history? And really, I'm not qualified to explain Hong Kong's history. Okay. And then there's, of course, the problem with extradition bill. And, oh my god, do we go back all the way to colonialization? Because, like, that's really the root cause here. Like, and I'm not even joking. That's, like, legit. Like, if you think about it, that's really at its core what the issue is. This is so easy to tell where this Monkey King is hiding. No, it definitely matters. Like, this is actually just... This is just fucking up this Monkey King so much. Okay. So let's maybe not start with, you know, colonialization. I don't think we need to go back that far. But let me just go ahead and try and give a really brief recap of Hong Kong's history. Okay. Oh my god, I really hope I don't get too much wrong. I really expect I will get a few things wrong, but I'm gonna try my best, okay? So, at some point during the past, Hong Kong was colonialized, right? And eventually China was like, yeah, but we would like Hong Kong back. But at that point, Hong Kong was already kind of used to the idea of like having democracy, right? Like, or having, you know, like their form of democracy, which that's where we need to get into what Hong Kong democracy really is, because Hong Kong democracy is really weird. Like, oh my god, it's so much here. Okay, do you now understand why there's so much? Well, I haven't really talked about this. Okay, so Hong Kong democracy is really weird, but we're not gonna get into that right now. So point being, but like at that point, Hong Kong had already gotten used to democracy, right? But China was still like, we would like Hong Kong bad because it is our land, right? And then so the people that colonialized Hong Kong, which I believe, if I am pretty sure about this at least, that's, you know, the UK, right? Or was it Spain? I don't know who it was. I'm gonna be completely honest. But they were like, okay, sure, you can have it, but here's our condition. You need to uphold the values of democracy in Hong Kong. It was the UK. Okay, it was the UK. You need to uphold the values of democracy in Hong Kong for like a while. I think the deal was until 2050. Now, honestly speaking, people were already worried about what the fuck happens in 2050, right? Like, that was just like a thing. People just didn't know, right? But China was like, okay, we can do that. So they let Hong Kong do their thing until sometime this year or last year or sometime, I'm not sure exactly when, there was an incident with somebody committing a crime, right? Like, and honestly, nobody here is arguing that there wasn't a crime committed. There was a crime committed, right? But somebody committed a crime, and as a result of this crime, China wanted them extradited, meaning they wanted them to be transferred out of Hong Kong to China so that they can then pass judgment there, right? Now, a lot of countries do this. This is actually pretty normal. Also, I am probably dead. I'm going to try to TP out because these boys are wrecking me. That's actually a pretty normal thing. Like a lot of countries have kind of extradition rules. But here's where the problem comes in. The way this extradition rule was written was in a way it allowed China to declare, because like here's the problem with China, right? Like China is not a democracy, right? China just does what it wants to, right? And one of the things that people were worried about is that China could just say, hey, this is a crime now. You in Hong Kong committed that crime. We want you out of Hong Kong to China, and then they can do with them whatever they want, right? So in a way, this bill, this law would allow China to just get huge influencing power in Hong Kong. Alright, where they could just kind of like forcefully get people out of Hong Kong and get them into China. And people weren't happy about that. They didn't want that. They didn't want China to get people to kind of like be able to forcefully remove people from Hong Kong. And this is kind of like the weird situation where there's like human rights activists saying, we do not want this extradition bill to extradite this, I think it was a murderer, right? Like, it wasn't a good dude. But the point here isn't that the protesters in Hong Kong, they are not protesting extraditing this dude. They are protesting the ability to extradite, because then China can extradite whoever they want. And that would be a problem. Oh, hello. Ooh. Well, that's a little bit awkward. I'm sorry, dude. Didn't mean to do that. Is that guy still up there? You're up here, right? Oh, yeah, I found you. You want some Scalar boys? Alright, we got him. Okay, so this is, but like, by the way, I promise you I got something wrong, but at its core, it's something similar to what I just said, right? So, people started protesting, and the thing is that the protests started to escalate, where people were protesting the bill, but then because of the actions of the police and the Chinese government, which were kind of like having some influence on all of this, things just started escalating and getting out of control, as they sometimes do, right? And because things started escalating and getting out of control, people were becoming increasingly less happy about everything, and it just was getting worse and worse and worse. And it started becoming such a big deal that, you know, like a lot of people in Western nations, like in European nations and in America, they started taking notice. Because it is a really big deal. It actually does matter a lot, right? And what people are kind of like, people usually with Western values, they side with Hong Kong. Because the people of Hong Kong, they don't want China to just kind of like absorb their democracy and turn them into whatever China is, right? That's what they don't want, right? And then, anyway, this is the super abridged version. So this was the thing. Now, recently on a Hearthstone tournament, broadcast, there was a player playing in the biggest Hearthstone tournament there is, which is the Hearthstone Grandmasters is what it's called. And this player called, I think, Blitzchung. Please, I think that the name is probably wrong. But this guy showed up with a gas mask, which is very much kind of like the symbol for protesters in Hong Kong. And then also showed up with, and then like in the interview shouted loudly, like was it freedom for Hong Kong, revolution of our times or something, like a very Hong Kong specific phrase, right? I think that's a fair thing to call it. It's a very, very Hong Kong specific phrase that is used by people when they are, oh, I was gonna blink in front of him. Ooh, this is probably not very good, is it? Right? So Blizzard, what they ended up doing is they ended up banning the guy from competing in Hearthstone tournaments for a year, rescinded all of his prize money, banned the two casters that were with him that, you know, like honestly, they weren't really doing too much. Looking at the broadcast, to me, it did seem like they knew what was coming and they did kind of let it happen, but to be honest, I don't really think it's their responsibility to stop this. I think this is a responsibility of the broadcaster and the tournament organizer, right? Because it was fairly obvious. But anyway, right? But oh damn, there's just so much fighting happening here. Whoo! See, I knew Wraith King was gonna be good. But they ended up banning the two casters that were with him from casting official Hearthstone tournament for life. Not just like, just like just forever. They were just like, nah, you can't. You're just done. All right, and yeah, and that kind of turned into like a big deal. So there were like a lot of different voices, like a lot of people kind of like having different kind of things to say. All right, Like, so the big thing that people are saying is, like, especially, again, a lot of people with Western values that value democracy, freedom of speech, these kind of things. And I, by the way, like, it sounds like I'm trying to remove myself from the situation. I'm just trying to be impartial. I personally do agree with those values. I just, you know, I'm just trying to explain it neutrally. But those people ended up, you know, kind of like saying, hey, what the fuck, Blizzard? Right? Like, what? And a bunch of, like, big, prominent kind of, like, Hearthstone personality also ended up speaking out. And the big thing, the big takeaway in a lot of these situations was that people think it was just kind of, like, the problem wasn't that Blitzchung was punished. Right? Like, here's the thing that really, like, kind of, like, is the problem. The problem isn't that Blitzchung was punished. The problem was the severity of the punishment. Because he just had so much taken away from him, right? Like, so freaking much. It's actually crazy. They didn't just, like, slightly punish him for doing that. Like, they really went hard on him as if to send a message. Simultaneously, while Blizzard announced this, they also announced, or like they wrote on an official Chinese social media site, on their official account on the Chinese social media site, they wrote a post that kind of read like, yeah, we do not condone what was said, this is not okay, we will not let this happen again. And then they kind of ended it, this is the big one that people keep pointing out, with the phrase, we will always defend the pride of our country. Right? Which is weird. That's a weird thing for Blizzard to say, because Blizzard is an American company. Right? Like, that's the thing. That's just kind of a really, really, really weird thing for Blizzard to say. Right? And people like kept pointing towards it. They were just kind of like, wait, what? Right? So, people are kind of naturally, and I think this is a very reasonable assumption to make, is that the people are saying, well, this is because of China. Blizzard wants to stay in China because the Chinese market is so big, right? Then recently, Blizzard released a statement in which they claimed, like, so they did a few things. First, they lowered the punishments, right? They, for the casters are no longer lifetime banned, they're only banned for 6 months. So Blitzchung, he's only banned for 6 months, and then also, he does get his prize money after all. So because of, but that's fine. But in this post, that was very weirdly written. I recommend you read it and just kind of pay attention to the phrasing. It's weird. It's weirdly written. But in this post, they make the claim that this decision had nothing to do with China. And that's the situation, right? So that's the overall situation. And then recently, the most recent like kind of twist in this is that Blizzard announced that they are kind of canceling like a Nintendo Switch event for Overwatch, right? And a lot of people are kind of like ramping up to go to BlizzCon and protest Blizzard there and that kind of stuff. I want to get a Radiance. I think a Radiance would be really good to have. I'm not going to fight that. So, that's the situation. Now to kind of like I hope I explained this as neutrally as kind of like made sense. So, let me go and kind of give you my opinion on this, right? So, let me start with saying that I personally actually believe Blitzchung should be punished. Because I think if somebody went on, and this is like a comparison Brian Kibler made, right? But if Blitzchung went onto that broadcast and instead of shouting something pro-Hong Kong, he shouted something anti-Trump or, I don't know, anti-Merkel, anti-Boris Johnson. He went on a rant about how he thinks, you know, like the government of Spain is doing something wrong. I just don't really think this is the place and time to do it. Right? And honestly, this is something where if I was the tournament organizer and somebody did this during my broadcast, I would be like, dude, what the fuck? Right? So like, hey, C. Sulik, thank you very much for the 14 months. Right? It's just like, we didn't give you this platform to do this. We gave you this platform to talk about Hearthstone and play Hearthstone. Right? And in that way, I understand why I personally would have punished him too. The problem is the severity of the punishment. What I really think that the appropriate punishment in that situation would be like maybe you forfeit your next match or something like that. Not just like completely kick him out for a year, right? Which a year in esports is just like a career-killing move unless, you know, you're already at the top of everything, you know? So I think what they did is in my opinion, they very clearly did what they did to please China, right? They went so hard on this dude in particular because they wanted to send a message to China and to like the Chinese government that they are on their side, that they are pro-China and that they will, you know, kind of like work with China. I think that's what's going on. And that's a bit sketch because, like, I'll be completely honest, China has some issues, there's some problems. Alright, like, there's definitely, like, a lot of things that are happening in China that I personally am not okay with, and I think a lot of people also wouldn't be okay with. But honestly, like, if I want to go into all of the problems and the moral ambiguity with China right now, we'll be here for a little bit. And I really don't think we have time for that. Alright, there's a stun. We do have an IO, but I don't know if it's gonna be enough.
Your bottom shrine is under attack.
Alright. There's a lot of people here. Oh, that went for me, okay.
The enemy's bottom tower has
Oh, he's up there. Are we gonna get him? Just throw down... The guy doesn't have much HP. Like, if you just throw down a nuke, I'm sure we can catch him. Alright, we're not getting him now. Okay. Oh, we did get him. Look at that.
But what about so famous Chinese cartoons?
Hey, Archangel Chuck. I'm not sure what you mean, sorry. Sorry, I really actually have no idea what you're talking about. But yeah, so that's kind of like the... That's kind of like the problem, right? And one thing that I do have to say that... the whole, like, so I mentioned earlier how that, like, post that Blizzard made, where they claimed this had nothing to do with China at all. You know, I think that is clearly a lie. And this is just something I think is so dumb. It's something I hate so much. It's just when people tell you these, like, very obvious lies. It's just like, can you please take me seriously, right? Like, I don't need you to tell me that this has nothing to do with China. I don't need you to tell me that this has something to do with China. Everybody knows this has something to do with China, right? But the fact that you're lying to me this transparently tells me that you don't care whether or not I think I believe you. Or whether or not you think I believe you, right? Like, this just shows me that really this post, and this is what I heard, and this is what I think is very sensible, it's just something I read. But I don't think that post was written for you or me. I think that post was written for American politicians. If you read that post, it does a lot of really weird things. First, it explains things that are really obvious to all of us. Like, really, really obvious. Like, it explains what a shoutcaster is and all of that stuff. It lays out how eSports works, right? It's just like, why are you explaining these things, right? And the only reason why I see why they would be explaining these things is because it's not meant for us. It's not targeted at us. This is targeted at some people, at people that, you know, kind of like come from a background that has nothing to do with this, but people that make laws. This is targeted at politicians, right? So that they don't really get into trouble with politics, because this has been blowing up into a huge thing. Right? I don't know, man. Like, it's just like a really shitty situation. And it's... Yeah, I mean, that's what's gonna happen. Honestly, like... like, I wish I could kind of give a positive outlook here, right? I wish I could look at this situation and say, don't worry guys, Blizzard is gonna learn their lesson. But they are not.
The enemy's middle barracks.
They're not gonna learn any lessons. Because there's no lesson for them to learn. If you think this was like, this whole situation ended up not working out for Blizzard, people are gonna move on. They will. This is just gonna happen. Like, this outrage is lasting a bit longer than other outrage, but they're gonna move on. And after everybody's moved on... Wait, what can we buy here? Just normal stuff. Okay. Right, but after everybody's moved on... Blizzard will continue doing business in China because they make a ton of money in China. The Chinese government is going to continue doing what it's going to do. And frankly, there's nothing we can really do. Now, I'm not going to say that I feel like people are like want to go protest Blizzard at BlizzCon. And I think that's a good... Do that. Do that. Go protest. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't expect something to change though. Right? Because I don't think Blizzard feels like they need to do anything about this. The only way you can get Blizzard to change is if you do actually manage to make a difference in politics, which is why that post was written at politicians, and you need to stop buying Blizzard products. But even there, I honestly have no trust in the internet's ability to do that in a large scale enough that it would make an impact. So sorry, I know like I'm kind of leaving this on a really depressing note, but I think that's just it. This is just how this is gonna end. Nothing's gonna change. Blizzard is gonna keep doing its thing. They're gonna keep making money in China. And honestly, if the entire Western market just stopped buying shit from them, I think they would be fine. I mean, they wouldn't be happy, but they would probably pick that. They would rather pick China than they would pick not China. Because China just makes more money. Alright, well, we got him at least. Okay, anyway, we got a game going on here. Sorry, I hope I explained the situation adequately. Yeah, this is why I didn't really go into this yet, because it's just like, it's a really difficult discussion and there's just so much fucking background information. This is not something that is like, you know, like a quick, easy, hey, let's just quickly talk about Blizzard. Even though, you know, like, what really, like, what people want me to say is, Blizzard is bad! Bad Blizzard, right? And like, yeah, bad Blizzard, bad, but like, I don't know, I feel like I'm just, yeah. Invest in India, fuck China. Oh, hell yeah, invest in India. Dude. Everybody invest in India, you'll make a shit ton of money. India is the next China. Alright. Let's go and grab this. Nice, barracks down. I don't really know what else we can do here, but I'm gonna go for this kill. Because we should go for these kills. Oh, dude. Alright. Get that. Sorry. Okay, just kind of like trying to let my team escape while we get out of here as well. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and grab ourselves probably a heart right now. What? No shopping range? Can I buy a heart? Alright, there's a stun and TP out. Alright, cool. Whew, that was kind of scary, but we're fine. Okay. As Jim Sterling said, even silence in this case is a political statement. Oh yeah, like, there's no... But I've been saying this for a very long time. I don't believe there's such a thing as a neutral position. Not saying anything is the same thing as saying something. Right? Inaction is the same thing as action. It's just a It's just on the spectrum of action. You know, the actions you can take include inaction. But that doesn't mean that you aren't doing anything. That doesn't mean you aren't taking a statement. Or making a statement. Hey yo, what's up my boys? We really need to wait until Huskar is alive. Can you chill? We need to wait for Huskar. You should go for him. Oh, never mind. Yeah, we should actually go for this. Because of that. Alright. Is ignorance neutral? Ignorance, I will say, is neutral. If you don't know about the subject matter, then that's the only way to be neutral on the subject matter. But only to a certain extent. Like, willful ignorance is also not being neutral. Okay, now we're really getting into... Oh my god. I'm sorry, this is not what I meant this video to be. This was a cool game mode. I hope you guys enjoyed the game. This was actually a really cool game. Look at that, 49, 45. I'm somehow 13-1. Dude, the games where I don't pay attention, I play the best. This has just always been true. So I'm going into 5D politics. Politics are hard, dude. There's just like so much. There's so much. And you know, it feels like... Well, there's no way to like not... I don't know. Let's get also Sebastian. There we go. Look at that. Back in top, we forgot about the US Hearthstone team holding up the Free Hong Kong Boycott Blizzard sign. Oh yeah, well there was a different team that like... But like that wasn't really a big deal because Blizzard didn't ban them. But to be honest, I think Blizzard would have banned them if they weren't already like in the middle of the outrage. And I also think that China doesn't give a shit about that as much. Because that's just the collegiate championship. And the collegiate championship gets like a tenth of the viewers of the normal one. And... You know, it wasn't like somebody on an interview making a statement. It was just somebody, you know, like holding up a sign and then immediately being cut from the broadcast. So, yeah. Didn't really think that part was too important. Because, like, the big thing is really the situation with Blitzchung. There we go. Look at us. Look at us. We won the video game. And we talked a lot about... Hearthstone. No Hearthstone. Blizzard. Politics. Oh god. It's a difficult situation. Alright. I hope this was at all interesting. If it was, don't forget to leave a rating on the video. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.